The Calgary Flames season may be over, but there is a plethora of optimism heading into this offseason. If you can remember back to last offseason, the vibes were absolutely terrible. But after the exiting press conferences by some of the players this season, we can now say that going into the future, it's looking very bright and the vibes in Calgary are immaculate. Welcome to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe because less than 20% of the people watching are subscribed. So if you want to stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around the Calgary Flames, then make sure you join the fastest growing community of Flames fans on the internet. And thank you so much for subscribing lately. You guys have been absolutely killing it with that. The channel is growing so fast. The community is growing so well. And I love the interaction you guys have with each other and with myself. Love what we are doing here on the channel. But yes, the season may be over. The playoffs have started. They started yesterday. We had a couple decent games, I guess you can say. And it's too bad that the Flames are not playing in any of them. But the Western Conference playoffs do start today. And it should be, honestly, it should be very fun, even without the Flames participating. But that doesn't mean that things are bad down here in Calgary. So let's get into the good vibes. Yes, a lot of players obviously had a lot to say in their, I guess, closing statements of the season. We'll call it, let's say we're writing a junior high school type essay here in their conclusion paragraph when it came to the season. But honestly, this season, there were so many better things to say. Last year, there were so many players unhappy with the Flames, just missing out on the playoffs in a season where they really should have made the playoffs. They got a million Daryl Sutter points, the overtime loss points, which was so aggravating because they win even half of those. They were comfortably in the playoffs last year, and I think the Flames honestly could have made a bit of a decent run last year. I mean, that's what happens when you put Nick Ritchie in to save your season in the shootout. But either way, this season, the Flames might not have had quite as good of a record as last year, but the feeling going into the offseason with all the people who didn't want to be here gone and, all of the draft picks that the Flames have, the prospects now, the future is bright, and some of the veterans know this. So let's get into an article. It was originally written by the hockey writers. Flames players' optimism much higher than a season ago. A nice picture there of Kadri and Wolfie button heads. Man, well, I would kill to be either one of them. I want to butt heads with a Flame in a good way. A little head bump instead of a fist bump. But let's get into this article. From a record standpoint, the Calgary Flames were a worse team in 2023-24 than a season ago. Last season, they finished with a 38, 27, and 17 record. My goodness, imagine if they won all 17 of those. Record for 93 points, which was too shy of the Winnipeg Jets for a playoff berth. Though they had the same 38 wins this season, they suffered 39 regulation losses, picking up a single point in overtime or shootout defeats in just 5 appearances. They ended the year with 81 points, 17 shy of the Vegas Golden Knights for a wild card position. So yes, last year, just 2 points out of a playoff spot. This year, 17, and like it shows there, you can thank a lot of those to the loser point. Despite taking a step backward, however, the overall vibe from the fan base is much better this year than it was last. After seemingly trying the same thing over and over and putting out a mediocre product more often than not, Craig Conroy has come in as general manager and immediately begun a retooling phase. Though it will undoubtedly lead to some short-term pain, yes, we'll probably miss the playoffs this year and in the foreseeable future, the future of this team is already looking brighter than it has in some time. Yes, I can't remember a time where going into the offseason, Flames fans were this optimistic with a team that didn't even make the playoffs. I mean, sure, there's been times where, as Flames fans, we always somehow get this false hope at some point in the offseason, whether it's we acquired a player through trade or through a signing and whatnot, and then Flames fans, we say we're going to go win the cup, and really none of us mean it. But this season, we know we're not going to win the cup next year, but the future does look bright. An actual retooling here is being done instead of, the classic tree living, stay at mediocrity, and just hope to contend every single year. And the Flames did have some good regular seasons under tree living. There's no denying that. 2019 and 2022, the Flames were really good, but just couldn't obviously get it done in the playoffs, which does stink. This season, the feeling is so much different, and I like that. But let's continue the article here. Flames appear excited. If you'll recall, many Flames players were frustrated at the end of the 2022-23 season last year. Tyler Toffoli requested and was granted a trade, while many others, including Mikael Backlund, Elias Lindholm, and Jonathan Huberdeau, were said to be considering their futures. Lindholm and Backlund made sense. Lindholm had lost all his buddies that he put up a million points with. Backlund had been stuck here through mediocrity forever, and I'm sure he wanted to go contend and try and win a cup. And then Huberdeau had one of the worst seasons we've ever seen out of a player who, had a 115-point season the year prior. I don't blame him for, questioning a bit of that future. But they all ended up staying, well, somewhat. Lindholm obviously ended up getting traded, which is fine. But Backlund signed as captain, and Huberdeau seems to be a lot happier now, too. I've got nothing but good things to say. The city has really grown on me, said Nazem Kadri. I was a free agent that chose to be here, and I know how great a city and fan base that Calgary can be. We truly get treated like NHLers, which is great. I think it's a great organization with a great family dynamic. He loves the word great, and if there's a better word to describe Calgary than great, I don't know what it is. What's our new slogan? The Blue Sky City or something? That's kind of cool, I guess, but it should just be great. I like it. Hearing that from Kadri, who many would think at 33 years old, maybe a player who would prefer playing for a Stanley Cup contender, speaks volumes about where the Flames are as an organization from a season ago. He was far from the only player with positive things to say either. So it's great to hear, that Kadri has great things to say. He has won the cup, so it's not like certain players like Huberdeau and Backlund who have been playing for quite a while now and still don't have a cup and, are kind of just roped in here. There's guys like Kadri and Coleman, they have won the cup, but of course they want to win again. It's not like players check it off the bucket list and that's it, they're done. They want to always compete hard and go for more, and it's great that the vibe is just so good this offseason. Players are happy and excited to move forward with the organization through this retooling to hopefully contend in a limited amount of time, just a few years. But let's continue here. My biggest dream is to win, and my biggest dream is to win here in Calgary, Mikael Backlund said. That is what you want to hear from your captain, longtime Flame. I think this retool is necessary for this organization. I'm excited for next year. I think good things are ahead for us. That is just so nice to hear from Mikael Backlund that, a lot of players will kind of deny a retool is happening, or they'll say, we're just going to go out and win every night. To hear Backlund say, I think this retool is necessary, is so nice to hear, that the players are buying in and that the vibes are just so high and that they believe in this management group and this coaching staff. As mentioned, Backlund was one of many players who strongly considered leaving after last season. His comments today show how much the culture has improved under the new coaching and management regime. Sorry, I had to roll my R there a little bit. It sounded kind of nice. But that is great to hear from Bax. That's a guy who really wanted to be out of here, and no one can really blame him after so many mediocre years and not, going far in the playoffs or not even making the playoffs. I'm sure he wanted to go contend, but to hear that he's still buying into it and, he loves this city, he loves this team. The players seem to love him. That's just what I gather through, bench interactions and from social media and stuff. But Backlund is just such a great guy, and I'm so happy he's the captain, and I'm glad that he is buying into this. Now let's wrap up the article here. Brighter days ahead. One notable thing was that several players, including Huska, said they expect themselves to be in the playoffs next season. The optimism is great to see, but fans should temper their expectations on that front. The fact of the matter is this team is still several pieces away from contending, but the right pieces are in place. They have plenty of talented youth and should be able to add more over the next few drafts. By the time the new arena opens its doors for the 2026-27 season, the Flames should be a very competitive group. And that is just so refreshing to read that, of course the players are going to say, we're going to try and make the playoffs next year. We'll be in the playoffs next year. And it's just what you have to say as a professional. Think of you at your own day job. Of course you're going to say that things are going to be great no matter what a year from now. But I think the reality is the players know it's going to be a retooling, and I'm sure they'll just be happy to contend in the future and are happy that the Flames kind of have a future for once, which is very nice to see. And I'm just so happy again that the vibes are just so great here in the city and in the organization surrounding them around the Flames, especially in a year where we did not make the playoffs and the Red Mile is not popping off. Now, the other thing I wanted to look at in this video was addressing the Sharky comment. So obviously we just looked at a lot of positive comments made by certain players in their, concluding press conferences, but Sharangovich kind of got a question just dropped on him like a bomb. A bomb dropped on him. And it wasn't necessarily the most fair question because it was unexpected, but here's the tweet that kind of summarized it. Yegor Sharangovich on if he sees himself staying in Calgary beyond next season, he's eligible for an extension this summer. This was Sharangovich's reply. I think it's a hard question. I don't know. We'll see. Those aren't great words to read. That makes it sound like he definitely doesn't want to be here. Now, you need context, and this tweet obviously doesn't show the context. The context was that this question came out of nowhere. Sharangovich not only, has a bit of a language barrier that we all know, but it was also came as a complete surprise, so it was hard for him to answer it. I think Sharangovich, there's a very strong chance that he will sign an extension here. So as Flames fans, you do not need to read into this comment too much. It really doesn't mean all that much. It's not like if, Markstrom had said this, where his comments lately have been, I don't know, pretty much about his future and his talks with Conroy. But Sharangovich, it was a tough question to answer for him. He didn't see it coming. And I'm pretty sure the Flames will just offer him as much Lego as he wants. And then he'll hopefully stay. And I don't blame him. But no, just hopefully you didn't get, trapped by that tweet. You know how the media is. It includes myself at this point. But sometimes, you just got to say the things that get the clicks. But Sharangovich is happy. No need to worry about it. The vibes are still good on that front. Now let's wrap up this video with the comment of the day. And this one involves the playoffs. So let's get right into it. With the Vancouver third round, it doesn't fall a full round as it is New Jersey's. So I feel it is better to get a higher first and the New Jersey fourth over a lower first and Vancouver's third. That goes with, Vancouver progressing to the West Final. The Flames get a third round pick instead of a fourth. One reason to cheer against the Canucks, and that one came from Shinny Zekrom, either way, it's a really cool name. But I totally agree. I think it's better if Vancouver just gets bounced in the first round. It's so much more valuable to have a pick, higher in the first round than to have a third than a fourth. Now, that being said, obviously a third is much more valuable when it comes to trades than a fourth round pick. But, if Vancouver, let's say they fall to 24th, or are picking 24th and Calgary has that pick, the Flames got Connor Zary at a 24th overall pick. So there's a strong chance you can get a very good player higher up in the first round than it is to, gamble on a third round pick compared to a fourth kind of thing. So I completely agree with you there. And, I know there's tons of fans who are on the Canucks bandwagon or want a Canadian team to win, but for, the Flames fans who really care about the rivalries, it is another reason to not cheer for Vancouver, and I fall under that category. But that about does it for this video today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.